All
We're
right.
live, dude.
And we are live.
Nani? Nani?
What's
Yay.
going on, guys? How you all doing?
Hey, to the people that are
We're
here.
back
No,
with
What's
another podcast.
crack-a-lack-a-lackin'?
that's okay. Did you say it's crack a
The
lack
Oh,
of
no.
What the hell does that mean?
The clue.
You like
Oh,
the
I like that
background?
background.
Yeah, the background's sweet,
Oh
dude.
Yeah, boy.
I
Nice.
should have just blanked out Travis since he's a traitor and didn't watch it
There's
with
the
us.
shot. There's the shot of him there. And Blake Kaiser
Yeah, Blake Kaiser, the
flaking
kid who
out.
was like, "Yo, I'll watch it with you guys and replace Travis since he ain't gonna watch it." Right.
And then flaked on us.
He ditched us,
Yeah.
man.
Flaked on us.
He ditched us.
Well, anyways, welcome everyone to the 44th podcast for the Otaku A team. This one is a pretty special one, I'd say, because we all watched A Silent Voice last night,
Oh
and my
yeah.
goodness, do we have quite a bit to talk about with this film.
Yes, we do.
It's kind of cool, by the way, because we have two manga readers here and two anime onlys. I just noticed that.
Who's
So it's
anime
kind
only?
of
So now we do
you and
fight.
you and Christian are
I'm not
anime onlys.
anime only.
No,
I
You
read
didn't read the
most.
manga.
Movie.
No, for this.
idiot.
Oh, okay.
No, for this, I know you read
Oh.
manga.
Oh
You-
my gosh. Oh
No,
my
you've never read
gosh.
manga before.
I
My
won't,
bad.
I'll tell you right now, though. I fucking want to buy this whole thing now, like
You
immediately.
should.
And I'm thinking of doing it probably when I get paid, but I am definitely
Dang.
thinking of it.
When you get that bread, that
Anyway.
change.
But yeah, we're pretty much going to be talking about everything in this podcast. So that yes, there are going to be spoilers for
So run!
anyone already because that happened with
What?
ReZero the one time. People were coming in here when we said spoilers and we're like, "Why are you spoiling it?" And we're like, "We said it." Like, come
Why
on.
are you spoiling
warned
it? You're
you.
doing a review on it. Why?
We warned you and you didn't
Right.
listen.
This is just a chat on the whole movie, everything. And
Yeah,
I
so
mean-
if you don't like it, get over it.
right. So
Oh no.
kind of a little
Jesus Christ.
history with me, at least with A Silent Voice. Like
Wow, it's all about you.
I
I know,
well,
right?
no, I mean from a manga reader, man. Like this series was the first thing that I had ever read, like manga wise. Now, like when I first got into anime, I didn't read anything manga wise. So when I came across A Silent Voice, I think I actually won it from like a giveaway or something. I don't remember what it was exactly, but I picked up the first volume and I didn't read it for a while. Then I read
Wow.
the first volume, and dude, after the first volume, I just kept buying the volumes as I completed them, and
And you bust
like,
a nut.
and then when the film was announced, I was like, oh, it's gonna take forever to get subbed and all that, and it did. But so happy that we all finally got to watch it, especially people who have been waiting for it forever, who've read the manga. It's definitely
I read
awesome
it, but still.
to see it. Even though it's a fan sub, the version we watched actually was not that bad. The sub was
No, I had
pretty
no
good,
idea.
Because
Oh
the
my
purple
God.
sub.
I watched.
and it wasn't the purple outline.
It was the
Don't
purple
watch
subs.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have fit so well and blended
Yeah, I'd say
into the whole
most
story.
places have the movie now. Most sites, wherever you guys watch at or whatever.
Very right.
But yeah, I mean, to start this off, I guess we'll just kind of. I mean, how do you guys really want to do this? I mean,
Let's
Wow,
start
man. You're
off with
supposed to be the
story.
host.
Let's
Wow,
start off
dude.
like a review style. Story, animation, soundtrack, characters, and then me and Memory can talk about the differences between the anime and manga. How about that?
all right,
Oh, wow. Okay.
that sounds good. Okay, so the story basically revolves around you start off with Shoya and Shoko. Shoko is
Shuya Ichida.
yeah. And Shoko Nishimaya. Now Shoko is a deaf girl She comes to Shoya's school. You know, Shoya's a young kid. He's dumb, to be honest. I mean, like a lot of us are, a lot of us were when we were kids
He's
and
just a very
whatnot.
energetic kid.
Yeah, and simply put, he makes fun of Shoko. Thinks
No.
that her being deaf is
Bullies.
weird. Thinks the whole thing with her in the notebook and talking to them through the notebook and whatnot is weird and all that.
Right.
And he bullies her, rips out her hearing aids out of her ears, throws them in the water, throws her notebook in the water, you know, you name it. And he did that to Shoko, you know, like definitely fucked up. And I remember when I first read it, and I think when we watched it, like I felt that again, like how much I remember like hating him at the beginning. Like I remember Chibi's video he first did over a silent voice, his first impressions of it, and he was raging. He was raging so hard at uh at Shoya because of the stuff he was doing to Shoko. But of course we do see him change as the movie goes along. So that's kind of like the general premise, and of course like the like Shoko's sister, uh their classmates as they progress through school, and you know, the stuff happens with Shoko where she actually moves schools. Shoya's friends turn against him, pretty much the same ones who were laughing and like, you know, there when he was bullying her and not really doing anything about it.
Right.
Um, he he kind of gets turned on by them, and they all tattle on him. He really has no one. The whole thing with karma and whatnot, him getting kind of what he was dishing out to Shoko.
Even well, if you don't mind me interjecting too, even besides the like karma aspect of it, that goes to show you like how those type of people like, and I because I've dealt with a lot of bullies in the past, obviously, you know, they're people who they think their friends are like, oh, we'll always back you up and stuff if something happens, but if immediately they get thrown under the bus somehow, like when the teacher goes at them and says, oh, who did this? Who's the one responsible for this? They're like, oh, yeah, we try to stop him, but he kept doing that
Right.
to her, and I always felt horrible. Like he was such an asshole to him, like to her. Excuse me.
You
Why
know,
would she? That's
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
reality of that.
But this like day and age, like if something like that were to happen like in class now, there'd be people recording it.
Yeah,
And
Probably,
that's
it's
yeah.
so
because
that's so
it's
true.
to a point. Yeah,
People would be pulling out their phones, recording it, like, oh, this kid's, you know,
upload on YouTube, not doing anything
yeah,
about it per se
bullying
though.
a deaf girl, ripping her hearing aids out of her ears. Like, it's sad, but that's literally how things are now. Like people like just record it and want to get like attention or something out of it and not stop it, you know?
Yep.
Just pretty fucked up. Now, granted, of course, there are people out there who actually try to take action or try to do something like actual action. Uh, but yeah, that's just kind of how that would kind of be now if something like that were to happen. But yeah, that's generally the main premise, I'd say. And you see Shoya as kind of he gets what he, you know, was dishing out to Shoko. He kind of gets that all coming back to him, and as a result, changes him completely. Like his character does a complete like, you know, uh, turnaround from where you see him at the beginning and then where you see him when he's grown up. You know, not a dumb kid anymore. And I think the especially the development he gets and what you see where he starts at and then where he ends at the end of the film is amazing, to be honest. My
Yeah, because
complete opinion.
it shows a character that the way they like for me at least the whole way they had his character evolve. It wasn't anything really overly dramatic. You didn't go through besides him getting bullied and stuff, and besides him dealing with his own stuff, they didn't push him to be like, oh, this is why exactly he grew up beat by beat. Instead, they go to show you, hey, he got older. He saw
Right,
he saw a lot of distrust in people because people can do that. They obviously will betray your trust to a certain degree, and he might have took it to a serious extent even beyond what most people would, but that's how it affected him. And the thing
right,
is that it's very rare for an anime movie in general, or even any anime, that has this kind of context to not go overboard with the story, but instead it kept it very down to earth and realistic, which is one thing I've really loved about it.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
that's what I you can relate like so much to, like I've already had so many people telling me, and I've just saw on the like on the internet and whatnot, like so many people that can like relate to this film and like how actually realistic it is, and like
Because
the like this is literally stuff you see in school. Like
right.
maybe not to this extent, you know, like bullying a deaf girl and whatnot. I guarantee it's probably happened at some schools, you know, but like you do there bullying's a big thing. Like I know my high school like was really big on it. A lot more you know schools in around the country in the states at least were like cracking down on bullying and whatnot. So it is a big thing. A lot of people have been through it. A lot of people can relate. And I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
why
true.
like this film like it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. All have that like connection to something like it can make you enjoy it like 1,000 times more rather than just if you couldn't connect to it really or couldn't really relate. So I think that's why like I know like I haven't really like dealt too much with I was just kind of a person who was like in high school at least like I was liked by everybody, like I got along with everybody pretty much. I didn't cause any problems, didn't have any real problems with people, but like I saw it going on in my school, you know, and I was friends with people who were bullied and whatnot. So it's like, you know, I've kind of saw it firsthand, uh, and like how my friends would come to me, you know, really, really upset. Like some of that, you know, kind of with the film and seeing how it played out and whatnot, and even going back to reading the manga, like kind of hit with me. So I think I'd say like 90 to 95% of people who like watch the movie have had some kind of encounter with a bully or friends who are bullied or whatnot. So that's why it's like a great, you know, take on, you know, this kind of subject matter that's like being matter, excuse me, that's being talked about here in the
Right.
film and
yeah, it
whatnot
not
and
only
being
talks
touched
about
on.
like the bullying concept, but it also kind of like brings about like, you know, like you said, there's going to be people who are going to relate a lot to this film, whether they've been the victim of bullying or whether if they just simply, you know, want to kind of like start over anew, because that's technically what the story is about. It's about changing and trying to become a better person, you know?
Right.
Um, and that's what I really enjoyed out of the film, because you also have other characters who have, you know, various other problems as well, but we'll talk about that later, because I got something to say on that. But that's what I really liked about the film, though. It doesn't necessarily have to tackle just, you know, one concept, which is, you know, the bullying factor, but it basically talks about multiple stuff and various other problems that,
Right.
you know, people in, you know, IRL have. So
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think what's kind of cool also is that, you know, like you said, it does have something to do with other things. I mean, I know this movie. We were talking about this prior to the podcast, but I'll talk about it real fast. You know, it at heart feels like a romance movie in many ways, and one of the things I think is funny about that is because you could call this to a certain degree a romance movie. You could, but at the same time, if you didn't want to call it that because of how everything plays out, you know, you don't have to. But
Yeah.
that is also how things happen. You know, it's love is weird like that. So even then, it's just that there are so many little side factors and so many little nuances to the story, the plot, and you know how these characters interact and mingle with one another. It's that blew my mind away when I was watching this film because it's such a hard thing to, I think, adapt a manga that's even a few volumes into a movie, but 7 volumes. They, you know, like I said, I didn't read the manga, but I have started doing some research on what was different, and I started hearing you guys tell me what was different, and you know, it's crazy because what they can do with the story and what they did with the story is fucking incredible. You know, it's
Yeah.
amazing that they were able to do that.
I never
But
went into A Silent Voice thinking that it was, you know, a romance. I know that you're not saying that it is one,
right,
but just,
It's
I
not
never
a
went
straight
into that.
romance. It's
right,
not like obviously like it's not
It's a drama.
it's not the main focus, but obviously you can see that there are romantic feelings there from some characters to other characters. Like it's not the main, you know, thing at the front of the series, but it's like kind of at the like on the side, like on the back. Like you can tell there's the characters have feelings for each other, some of
right.
them.
Well, I
So
mean, she clearly says it like she goes, "I like you," and
yeah,
you know that's beyond a friend. I mean, like that's why she got frustrated when he didn't understand that. You know,
yeah,
that's a young girl getting frustrated because you know her love wasn't reciprocated. You know,
yeah,
and that's the That's the thing I enjoyed about it, though, because it's like, oh, you know, I mean, I remember when I read the synopsis for this, right? And I remember because I've seen the manga. I've never read the manga all the way through, obviously, but I've seen what it looks like, and I've seen some of the summaries for it and stuff. But you know, I was like, oh, this sounds like just a romance story. I mean, even if you look at it, I mean, look at the layout that we're using. Okay,
Right.
that screams romance, to
Yeah,
me at
yeah.
least. But at heart, it's not. It's just a
Yeah.
little small piece.
From an
All
outsider,
little
it
small pieces,
appears
right?
as a romance, I'd say.
Right,
Like
and
Yeah.
I
you
would
get
tell
that
people if you
vibe.
And
don't
that's
like
why so many people were probably pissed at the end of the manga because they actually
Yeah.
wanted something to
But
happen.
that's not like what it was really going for, to be honest. It was going more so of like individual, like, making yourself better as an individual, friendship. It mainly touched on those topics, not really romance that much.
right. And Usama is like, oh, Ueno is the most romance we get from the series. Ueno is someone that clearly does like Ishida as the main character, but at
Hmm.
the same
Yeah, in the
time,
manga,
her
yeah.
romance with him is kind of twisted. You know, she does like him
She's
and she
very
does care about him,
self-absorbed. She's very
right?
self-absorbed,
And you can see
and
clear
in the
signs of that
manga,
in the thing.
it is even confirmed that that's the main reason why she gives Nishimiya a hard time is because of the fact that she wants her to stay away from
Yeah,
Shoyo because of the fact that she likes her. She is her whole world revolves around him specifically,
Right.
and that's why
yeah.
she's so stubborn and stuck up and all that shit.
Oh yeah, and even on the Ferris wheel, she
Yeah,
tells Shoko literally to stay away from him. If I
yeah,
remember correctly, she
No, yeah,
literally,
she said because she hates her and all that.
yeah,
It's like she feels like
yeah,
he's to ruin his existence, like how he used to be.
yeah. Even
yeah,
Shoyo even says it to straight up to Ueno that all she ever cares about is just herself. She's too self-absorbed, you
right.
know. So
So yeah, touching on that, that's we I'd say we nailed the main premise mostly, but we kind of started transitioning into the characters anyway.
yeah,
So I guess we
Well,
could
I
go
mean, they're
on
all
to
part of the story, so I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's.
I guess we kind of touched on the characters a bit too, but
I mean, hold
who
on,
would you guys?
does have everything to trajector? He's good.
No, I'd probably agree with the whole romance kind of being a side product to the
Yeah,
series, like a lot of people are saying. I mean,
yeah,
it definitely has a premise that if you like romance, then I guess it'd be
oh
good to
yeah, definitely.
watch. I mean, me personally, that's basically all I watch, and I was really satisfied by this. I mean, it's probably one of the best movies I've watched, so I thought they did a
oh
really
yeah,
good job in the way they portrayed it because you do get that romance element at the same time, but it's I think it was Miles or Aaron who said it's more of like a drama in a
Yeah,
sense.
that's me.
Yeah. I mean, it
yeah.
did a really good job of it, honestly.
Oh, definitely.
No, definitely.
So we kind of transitioned into the characters. So keeping on that topic, what who would you guys say is your favorite character?
You know, I know people are gonna flip out when I say this. I think, to be honest, Ishida.
No,
I really
honestly, I would probably agree with you.
To be honest, I would probably say
okay,
the
because
same.
I was
Like,
worried because I know like well, it's funny. I
Because
think oh, bad man.
yeah, I was basically going to say because of the fact on how executed the author, especially in the manga, how you hate a character in the beginning and
Exactly. Yeah.
how you love him by the end. Like that
Right.
to me is good character development because he
That's
oh
finally,
great
yeah,
character
even at
development.
the ending, like how they executed that one scene where he's crying, like that just executed, how he, finally redeemed himself.
right.
He can finally let go of his past and actually carry on with his life. Like that's what I really enjoy because if you can hate a character in the beginning to the point in which you
Oh,
want to stop
Because
reading
remember,
or
dude,
yeah,
stop
dude.
remember our
watching.
reaction last night? Like, I mean, it was funny because obviously you guys read the manga
Yeah,
for it,
yeah,
but I was like, dude, I hate this dude. He
yeah,
is
yeah,
such
Yeah,
a dick. And everyone's like, because you guys are like, oh shit, yeah, wow. We were all saying how much we hated the dude.
yeah. And
And
the more
yeah,
you watch it or reading the manga, if you're a manga reader, like it's just it's so satisfying just seeing him finally get redemption, even
yeah.
despite a
His
character that
his
you hate.
turn, yeah, his turnaround is definitely uh one of the obviously it's one of the key things of the film, but
right,
And you know what?
like,
It's because I think, like, in a way, though, um, the main reason why we hate him at the beginning is because of what he does, But as the story progresses, we start to relate to him a lot more, you know. Um,
yeah,
not by like what he probably did with with Nishimiya, but also like what he faced, the guilt, he wants redemption, he isolates himself from people. A lot of us have faced stuff like that. So
Right.
that's why we can probably relate to him. So
And like you said, like the character development, like you have that sometimes in the series. Well, maybe you'll like a character uh at first, and maybe you come to hate him, and or maybe you'll in this case like you really really hate a character and you come to like him. But
Right.
I don't think like because I like to be honest, out of anything I've read, watched, like my first impressions of a Silent Voice as a whole, like I don't think I hated at that point. Like I don't think I'd hated a character more than Shoya, like ever. Out of anything I had read or watched, like I hated him
Ah,
so
absolutely.
much,
Yeah.
like so much. And
Yeah.
like by the end of it, I was like, I can't believe that I hated this guy. Like or it wasn't really I can't believe. It was like more so like I hated this guy at the beginning. Like what has happened with his character? Like that, this shows you right there that the way he grows as a individual as he goes along through the film and whatnot is really marvelous, man. Like, and you do see people like that. Like even I know Aaron was talking about it with one of his friends. Like his one of his friends was like the biggest douche, and then he turned into
Yeah.
like, yeah, he actually turned into a
He turned into
what?
a really nice guy. That was the
Yeah,
crazy thing. Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna presume that Nate's
Yeah.
thing
yeah,
went out.
really
I
nice guy.
mean,
But
I like both of their characters, honestly. Like both of our main characters. I
oh
mean,
yeah, Shoko was awesome
they
too in herself.
they really make the
Yeah,
series incredible. I mean, she basically took all of his crap that entire time and still just wanted to be friends with him the whole time. I mean, you saw like him do all of this stuff and she just kept saying sorry because she honestly in an extent kind of felt like it was her fault, which is like the the line that makes the whole series fucked up and makes me hate him like so much when the series starts is because she thinks it's her fault the entire time, which is I don't know, just really just fucked up. I mean that's probably the part that kills me the entire time because the whole time he's just doing all that stuff to her. She's like, "Can we be friends?
All right.
We're
yeah,
friends," or "I'm sorry that I made you rip my ears out. I'm sorry that I did this. I'm sorry that I'm like deaf, you know?"
Yeah, and
It's
that's
a lot of kids with medical conditions are gonna say that.
right because they're gonna feel like because I know people like that. They're gonna feel like it's their fault that they were born that way, and it's more of a hindrance to other people around them. And that's I hated when I used to see in school because I mean we could talk about this with this is that I hated when I used to see people getting bullied because of their I want to say handicaps or whatever manner. I knew a vast majority of people with handicaps actually, and the thing was that some of them obviously used their handicap to get as a crutch, and I always kind of disapproved of that because I understand that you might have a handicap, but that doesn't make you like, oh, I can be a dick to people and get away with it. Because I did know a few like that, but I also know a few that were just honest to God nice people who always felt bad when they had to like be told something a second time or had to interrupt the class because they couldn't fully understand something, or had to like ask people around them, hey, what just happened? I can't fully retain it. And
uh,
to me, that you have to have patience at a greater level for people like that. But a lot of people, especially in this generation, lack so much fucking patience with anything that they flip out. They get into these mood swings with people like that. And that's one thing like why I hated this shit so much at the beginning, because it reminded me of the people that would fly off the handle like, oh, why is it that you're like this, and and start messing with them and start treating them so poorly and stuff like that. You know, I mean, I think the only character I had an issue with in this whole movie, in terms of his being there, was that guy with the orangish hair. Like he
yeah.
joins in at one
oh,
point.
Mashiba.
Is that his name, Mashiba? I have an issue with Mashiba because I feel like he's too shoehorned into the story, and like you guys said, his story goes more into depth in the manga.
Yeah, they didn't
But
really. Yeah, they left
Yeah,
it's
that
like
out.
it's like what the hell's his purpose in this movie? Like you see him there, and it's like, hey, I'm here
yeah,
just to
they kind of
be
put him
here,
into
and
the
I hate
back burner.
bullies. Why do
Yeah,
you hate
like
bullies?
you see that he gets pissed when he learns of that Shoya bullied Shoko, but you don't really know why he's like so pissed. Like obviously you'd get mad, like if most people would get mad if you heard someone was bullying a deaf girl, especially, but like
Hmm.
he gets more so mad, more angry than anyone, and they don't really, include that in the film, which they probably should have, but I get it,
It would be too hard, man. Like the whole thing already was it was a 2 hour
should
movie.
have been a TV series or whatever the case may be, but I mean, it wasn't like major to the overall story, of course, but like that would have been nice to have. Like, why
Yeah.
is he so pissed? Like, more pissed than anyone here. Like, and
Right.
there is a reason behind it. They didn't really include that with why he's more so the way he is, and that's kind of with a lot of the side characters. They don't really get, you know, fully from the manga what you see, but for the most part, you kind of get a general, I guess, idea of why some of them act and why some of them, excuse me, are the way they are. And sorry, before I got interrupted, freaking walked in my room and started talking. They're like, "Are you doing something?" I'm like, "Obviously." Like,
Good job, man.
You doing something?
yeah, I think
You
we
talking to
all
yourself?
you're right. That's literally what they're saying. But I think we can all agree that our probably least favorite character was Ueno.
Ueno? Yeah,
Yeah.
I will say that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And
I
yo,
hate Ueno.
you know what's funny about that, everyone, is that the first like minute or two in the film, when you see her,
Oh yeah.
Aaron was like, "Oh, this is best girl right here."
Yep.
I know I
Me
did.
and memory in
I
the
did,
film were
unfortunately.
dead silent.
And
I did.
me and Miles were just like,
Dude, like I saw her, right? You know, by the way, I don't know if anyone will agree with me, but seriously, that looks like the same girl from Beyond the Boundary. There's a girl with long black hair, and I'm like, damn, that's the same girl from Beyond the Boundary. But
It's
I was like,
Sahara.
oh,
The girl who leapt through time is also in the film.
yeah,
Her name is
and also
Sahara.
Steven Universe too is in the anime.
it's like I don't know if it was intentional, but they like you got like Nagatsuka, like the fucking Steven Universe. You got Sahara
Yes.
from like the
Even
girl
you.
who left her time. I haven't watched Beyond the Boundary, but apparently they look similar or
I'm telling
something.
you, I'll later after this, I'll show you that girl, and you'll tell me like, oh shit, that
Yeah.
really is.
I mean, here's the
Um,
thing. She is, pretty, I'd say.
Dang.
I know.
well, that was pretty, yeah. That was
Yeah,
cute.
she is, but like when
That's her
that was
character.
just
That's her
yeah,
character. It shows that even the most prettiest and cutest things can be cold-hearted bitches.
Yo,
right.
they're roasting him in the
That's so
chat.
exactly. That's
What?
well said.
They're roasting Aaron in the chat. Someone said
Why?
shit taste confirmed.
Damn, dude. Hey, listen, if it makes you feel better, I think Shoko's the best girl at that movie. When I started seeing her as a character, I'm like, oh my god, I love her. So she's my wife from that movie. All right, listen, I made mistakes. I'm not afraid to admit it.
Oh no.
But yeah, Yuano's kind of just that character that you mostly, I'd say, hate throughout the whole thing. Like
Oh
she's
yeah,
the character that I would say doesn't really. I mean, she changes a little bit, like, but it's very minuscule. But for the majority of the film, she doesn't change whatsoever. Because
no, it goes to show you that some
even when
people like that though.
yeah, even when she sees like Shoya again, they run into each other again. She's still like wanting to go pluck the hearing aids out of her ears. And Shoya's like,
Yeah.
no, like I'm not doing that again. Like I don't want to go back to that at all. Uh,
Right.
so yeah, you don't see, I'd say compared to the other characters, she doesn't get that much growth really. She's just kind of the same bitch throughout the majority of the film. So yeah. But other side characters though, Sahara, really the first one who kind of was there, I'd say, to help or wanted to help or get to know Shoko better. Because when they first ask like who wants to learn sign language or whatever, attempt to learn language, she's the first one to actually like raise her hand and volunteer to like learn sign language.
And by the way, I put her picture, by the way, the girl from Beyond the Boundary in the Discord if you want to see it.
Okay.
But
Yeah, but Sahara I really liked. Sahara was a big part of. She was kind of that support kind of for Shoko. Like she was there for Shoko at certain points in the film
Well,
that were big, I'd say, and for even Shoya as well. Like she's
well,
kind of that character that was good for both of them.
right. And I would say Uno is as Miss Vitch said, Uno is a bitch to the end. You know, one thing I liked about that as a character is that some people haven't you met someone that even if they are now like 20 years older than what they were when you first met them, they haven't changed. You know,
Right.
they still have that inherent assholeness nature to them, or they still are scumbags to people, or maybe they're immature, etc. There are people like that. They don't change. They will always stay within the realm of how fucked up they are, and they think that that's the way of life. And I mean, it'll be even maybe 20 more years that they have to realize, oh shit, I'm an asshole. But
Right.
they also have plenty of people that could be 50 or 60 and still have those traits that they had when they were 10 years old, you know, 11, 12, etc. And that's one thing I liked about her character because, like, I mean, as much as you hate her, and I think my dad said this one time, and it's very true. If you hate a character a lot in a show, in a story that's supposed to be like an antagonist or supposed to be like that, that's a really well done character if you think about
Hmm.
it too, because that means you hate that person, and that the author was making it so that person will be hated. So for you, you're like, I fucking hate this person. His The author did his job. He made you hate a character he wanted you to hate, and I think
Right.
Ueno's purpose is just that, and I love that.
Yeah. Like they show with that like some people can change and then some people can't change.
Right. And
Yeah.
then some people also become stagnant, like the guy
Right.
who worked at the what's we call it, the Ferris wheel place, not the
The
Ferris, but the
pizza
car,
place.
Oh,
the pizza place. Yeah,
Shimada. Was
yeah,
that it?
the guy
Boston.
with the blonde hair.
Yeah, I
Was
think that's
yeah.
Shimada. Yeah, yeah.
He, you know, they didn't really talk about him a lot. I don't know if they do that in the manga, but you know, you see his character. It doesn't look like he's really changed either for good or bad. He's kind of like middle ground now.
He's just kind of
Because
yeah.
and that's also where you've seen that too. So that's why I love the characters in this because they have such a wide berth of like types and tropes and stuff like that that are really realistic. Though they're not like, oh, here's a character who's now become like this because of no. It's just hey, if you haven't grown up, you haven't grown up as a person. You haven't let anything around you change your perception of the world.
Eh,
And
Right.
you
someone
know,
said that they think she triggered her to jump, like when she tried to jump
Ueno.
off. Yeah, I don't know
she
if
was
I
one
would
of many
say
things.
that's the case. I would
No, she
say,
was one of many things. I think, dude. One of
yeah,
many things.
I think the main majority of her reasoning behind doing it is the whole thing between the two main characters, to be honest with you. I mean, she felt like, I'm pretty sure she actually even said it or something like that, Chet. She felt like she's the reason he feels so bad, you know? I don't know
Yeah.
exactly the context and how she said that, but I feel like she did it because of the guilt that she feels that she is kind of dragging him along, but in the same fact, he wants to be in her life, I guess.
Right.
But she realizes that he, like her being in his life just totally screws his life up in a sense because he's never been able to get over what he did to her. So I feel like most of her reasoning behind trying to jump is to rid him of her, I guess, in a sense.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good way to
I
explain it, I'd
think
say.
I would think that would be her main trigger, not really people making fun of her, because I'm pretty sure at the point that she's at now, she kind of is used to that happening in a sense. I mean, that's kind of messed up, but I feel like in that standpoint, nothing that anybody could do to her was worse than what he did to her, but she
Right.
still forgave him and she was still okay with him, so I don't really think it
Well,
was her doing for her jumping off.
can, can we mention, by the way, Metrics put a good point out with the Get Shoko's mom. Can we mention the moms of this series were badass in their own
Yeah,
rights?
that's what I was just about to ask.
Like,
I was
I
gonna
mean,
ask like which mom did you guys like more? But
I like
Better
Ishida's
than
mom,
Ash Ketchum.
but
yeah, Ishida's mom's probably would be my
um,
pick, but both of
but
them in their own right, especially at the end. Oh my gosh, with Ueno,
yeah, dude. But
what
the
they
whole no, the whole thing with the moms though, which is interesting, is that is something I can almost see too, is with how especially with Shoko's mom acts, hey, that's her daughter that people keep fucking with and
Right.
messing with. Why wouldn't you go out and get pissed off and fucking slap the parent of someone like that? I mean, shit. I know plenty of parents that would
She
do the
actually
same
did
exact thing in a
something.
heartbeat. If
Right.
yeah, it
Some
would have been
parents
more
don't
for
do
me
shit.
annoying. Exactly, it would have been more annoying if like, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. Nah, it's okay. You're beating the shit out of my daughter in terms of
Yeah, dude.
taking her earplugs out and stuff and
No,
hurting her
she
and stuff.
straight
No,
brawled that bitch.
The
dude.
mom, the
That's what
moms
no,
in
that's
this.
what's
Yeah, dude.
awesome. That's
Go
what's
ahead.
awesome about
Go
the
ahead.
moms though, because you see like how much each of them like really care about each of their, their children. Like, Ishida's mom obviously cares like so much about him, and then Shoko's mother cares, so much about her that they do the things that we saw them do in the film. And like when you have that, because like I said, like some parents, they just you deal with it on your own. Like they're not really there for that support like parents should be.
Mhm.
What were you gonna say, Miles?
I was basically gonna say that while yes the moms are awesome and everything, like I really do wish, and this is getting into spoiler territory when it comes to the manga. When it comes to the manga actually showcases the Nishimiya household a lot more. It has a
Yeah,
lot of focus on that, and actually, you actually see the problems within the house, including the mother, on how it's really difficult for her to actually raise a child that is deaf and
yeah.
everything, and
Well,
the struggles that come with it and whatnot, and that's something that I
And there's
really wish
a
was
well,
focused on
I'll
it
be
as
honest with you. I
well.
mean, if you look, if you, I'm not to interrupt you, man, but if you look
Yeah, go
at
ahead.
the way they drew, her, Shoko's mom, though, you can actually see without like having all that backstory how it's taking a toll on her because
Yeah,
her
yeah,
face,
she's
her
very
face is very gaunt.
yeah.
She
yeah,
has,
her facial
she's
expressions
not
kind of tell it.
right. She
Yeah,
just looks like she's really emotionally drained. And I think
right.
that, I mean, like, I
Yeah.
think it's cool that they go into more detail in the manga about that. But I think for at least the movie, it's like if you don't see from her face how she reacts, like almost fucking, she's got no life in her as she's walking
Right.
around, like, hey, oh, what is he doing
Yeah.
here? Like that goes to show that she's fucking
And then
tired.
finally she snaps.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's a good thing though they were able to do that.
And also with Shoko's mother and Yuzuru as well, Shoko's little sister. They kind of dive in more with her character too, and what kind of you get more on Yuzuru in the manga as well. But you get a good amount of her still, in terms of her character and whatnot. We didn't really touch on Yuzuru yet, but Yuzuru is definitely a big part in um, Shoya and Shoko kind of coming together more
Yeah.
so. She's kind of she's there for both of them. She's, obviously she's kind of like because obviously she talks to Shoko in the household and whatnot. They communicate more than what Shoya and how often Shoya and Shoko can communicate. So, she can kind of relay these things to Shoya, kind of with the whole, for example, like the one thing that comes to my mind when the confession scene when Shoko's telling Shoya that, she likes him and whatnot with the when she's speaking and Shoya can't really understand her and he thinks that she's just saying moon, right?
Right.
When Shoko goes home, we see that she tells Yuzuru that she told Shoya that she likes him, and then the whole scene with it was kind of funny because Shoya's like she was trying to say something to me like along the lines of the moon and whatnot, and then Yuzuru just laughs at him because she knows like what she was actually trying to say to him, and that's that made for a nice scene, but like Yuzuru as a whole was like definitely a big part of the puzzle in terms of like the relationship between Shoya and Shoko. Like I'd say honestly probably the most important part to them. I'd say like Yuzuru and Nagutsuka because like Nagutsuka's there for Shoya through everything, through thick and thin. Yuzuru's there for Shoko, So
Right.
yeah, and we
Usama
didn't
asked.
really. Oh,
I'm
my
sorry.
bad.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, we
Usama
I know
asked
they were.
what's your favorite scene in the movie. By the way, we should ask that answer. We'll probably answer that in a little while.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah,
save that
that'll
for a
be
while.
maybe more towards the end.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say the chat was kind of talking about Kawhi already. Her like I don't know. She was like definitely the fakest character. Like we saw her flip so much back and forth throughout the film. It was just like at the end, like you didn't know what to believe, like if she was actually sincere with how she was feeling or not. Like the last scene, when uh sh- she gives Shoya the origami thing or whatever. You
Right.
guys remember? That's her, right? That
Yeah.
gives that. Yeah,
That's the yeah, the thousand
yeah. Like
pieces. Yeah.
I like I don't know. Like there's still a thought in the back of my mind that doesn't even think she was like really sincere about that. That was all fake. You know, like because that's just how her character. I think she was mostly sincere, but just throughout the whole movie, she's so fake. Like she's on one side or she's on the other side. She's she's behind this person, then she's not behind this person. Like throughout the whole thing, like it was just like she was for this thing, then went against it. For this thing, went against it, and it was just like like you're so fake. Like I hate it. And I remember we were like, this fake bitch. Like, oh my gosh. Like,
Yeah.
come on. Like while we were watching the film. So like there were like UNO and Kawhi are probably, the two characters that mostly everybody doesn't really, like just because of those like that fact. Like UNO is just a straight up bitch, to be honest, and Kawhi's just fake. Like you never know like what's with her and what she's saying and if she's sincere or what she's scheming or anything like that or what she's really trying to do. Uh, yeah, that's uh, but other than that, like all the other characters, I really didn't have too much of a problem with, to be honest.
No, I agree. I think most of the characters, for the most part, were perfectly
Because of
fine.
course you have Shimada and Hirose is the other kid who hung out with Shoya in his past. They're the ones who save him out of the river or whatever at the end when
Yeah.
he the whole thing with Shoko and whatnot. So like you do see that they're Hirose is kind of the same way as Shimada. They're kind of just both, you know, neutral. They're just kind of, normal. They're not really how they were in the past, but they haven't really made like huge significant changes. But as you see, it all comes around again, like how they were kind of there for Shoya in the beginning, they're kind of there for him at the end again when they save him and whatnot.
Here's a question, by the way. Do they? Because I know they're in high school, but what year of high school are they in? Do they actually ever say, or they actually?
Well, Shoya's Shoko is 18, so
So they're
Last
probably
year.
okay. So they're probably the last year of school. Okay.
That could be
yeah,
wrong.
I'd assume something
Right,
like
because I mean,
that.
I think that's also very important to point out because I mean, it's like with the characters that haven't really changed or really haven't been altered. I mean, in high school, obviously, you're gonna start either going to your like to how you're gonna be in your future, but at the same time, like I said before, way before when we started this, not everyone's gonna change at the same rate. So I think that in many ways, like with the girl who always switches between her personalities, like one minute she's all for everyone, that seems like she's kind of doing a selfless thing. I think she's still having like an identity crisis that some girls have at that age where they're
Right.
trying to figure out, what girl they want to be. Do they want to be the one that's catering to people, or do they want to be for themselves, etc.?
Wow,
And
that's
I think that's
sexist, dude.
no, that's not sexist, man, because that applies to guys too. I'm just saying that a lot of girls though that I know went through that issue where they want to figure out what they're trying to be. Do they want to be a specific way? And that's built on when you're getting through high school and even beyond that, especially with like girls that join a lot of groups and stuff like that. They have their cliques and stuff. I mean, even guys do the same thing. Us guys do that all the time where we're trying to figure out, are we going to be like the nerdy guy that's with all the nerds? Are we going to be like the geeky guy with all the geeks, etc.?
Yeah.
And it's something that you see it a little bit in the movie with some of the characters, but
Uh-huh.
that's to me that I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Um, One last character that I kind of want to touch on is the teacher. Now,
Oh,
at the
the first guy, right?
yeah, yeah, in the manga, now you don't really see a whole lot. I don't even think you see any one-on-one time between Shoya and the teacher. But in the manga, there's a pretty big conversation between the teacher and Shoya. I don't know if you remember that, Miles,
Yeah, it's
but
around the time I would think when
yeah,
Nishimiya and Shoyo actually got into the whole confrontation.
yeah,
Like
there's
it's
a
directly after that.
they kind of they left that out, which I think that right there would have been pretty nice to have, I think, in the film. But once again, I get it. But like the the teacher, he has pretty much a whole conversation with Shoya that's pretty deep, I would say, and a pretty big part of at least
Yeah.
the beginning parts. Um, I don't know, that kind of sucks they left that out, but yeah, that was a big thing with the beginning. The teacher though, what'd you guys kind of feel on him? He's just I know because when we were watching it, it kind of feels like he doesn't really he's just kind of content with what's happening in the class. He's not really he's just a chill, laid back teacher. Doesn't really
Like
it's not like
turning the
I don't
other
think
way.
yeah, I don't think he doesn't care. Um, I just think it was just kind of like a thing like
Well, the film
uh,
actually kind of made it seem like, and like if we didn't have that, or because of the fact we didn't have that scene that we were just talking about, memory, like the film kind of makes the teacher just seem like he's kind of like accepting everything, despite the fact that
yeah,
he knows that Ishida and maybe even the other kids are harassing Nishimiya,
yeah,
which in a way is, I mean, it can kind of go both ways. I mean, in a way, that's kind of how the teacher was in the manga, but at the same time, it just kind of feels a little off,
right,
without that, pivotal scene in, because that's when Shoyo, like, if, like, you remember how it transitions to Shoyo in the pool, or not the pool, the pond or whatever. Where,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
When he
yeah,
has the notebook on top of his
like directly after that talk with the teacher, that is when he starts to realize things, and then that is when his friends at the time technically turn on him and do the same thing that
yeah,
that Nishimiya was receiving when Ishida was treating her like shit. So I wish they kind of added that in, like you said,
yeah.
memory.
Yeah.
It's not
That
too
I
big of
think
a deal though.
that would have been nice to have compared to some of the other
Yeah.
things they left out. Like that should have probably been something to incorporate into it.
Well, can I also say what the one thing about the teacher that I kind of want to say, and I don't know if I'm correct with this because, like I said, I didn't read the manga. Obviously, you guys did, but I feel like he's one of those characters that he doesn't want to deal with issues until the issues are at his doorstep. You know what I mean? Where the class, the class
It was
being
until the principal comes
right,
in where he
the
actually,
principal
yeah,
now puts him in a bad situation because if he lets the class stay quiet, that's going to come back to bite him in the ass because of course the guy's going to be like, hey, listen, your class, is hiding the fucking culprit of this, and they might not do it openly, state that, excuse me, but that's what it's going to lead to eventually, and that's the only time that he's like, hey, we all know it was you, Ishida, fucking stand up,
yeah,
etc.
he like bangs his fist on the
Right.
chalkboard. Yeah,
That to me shows up. I think at least in terms of if we're just going off the movie, that shows a character that wants to cover their ass. That's the type of guy, the teacher who he won't step in to stop anything until it's like, oh, I can stop it now because I don't want to get in trouble. It's going to backlash on me, and it's gonna cause my job to be having issues. So I kind of hated him for that reason, but I mean I did
yeah,
know teachers like that. I hate to say. Um,
yeah. I think some people like in the manga, like he's like I don't know with his character was kind of like I like so like the conversation he had with Shoya and what like I like that part of his like what he did with that and his character and all that. But
right.
there were some kind of things that like a teacher really shouldn't be, should be doing something in this situation, but he wasn't. So that was like it was kind of a double-edged sword type deal. Like where some things weren't really. I was like, dude, how come you're not doing anything? You're the teacher. This is your classroom and whatnot. But then like he takes it upon himself to talk to Shoya and whatnot, like one on one. So there was like kind of like I said a double-edged sword there. So
Right.
yeah, I think we touched on the characters pretty well. So um animation and art. I mean,
Oh my god.
Oh,
Oh
Animation
and
god.
was
bust
well,
a nut.
glorious.
I think we should put it all together. Animation, art, and music. We'll put all of that together.
Incredible.
Um,
Simple.
and I think we're all gonna have the same kind of
Incredible.
thoughts on this for sure.
I,
Like,
I I will say right now, like yeah, like Kyo and Annie, I think I'm one of those people that also agrees with Kyo and Annie being one of those they should always stick with real life stuff because their fantasy
Yes.
stuff is garbage. But if you didn't believe that up to this point and you watch this movie, you're like, holy shit, this is the prime example you can use to defend when they make some other type of work because this movie it uses very simple things. It's not doing anything like super fancy in terms of explosions, magical effects,
right, no
a
action.
sword fight. Yeah, exactly. All it's doing is having characters and setting, and what it does with just that concept alone, just that theme, is make every single nuance of a scene like just that much more beautiful. The train ride where you see the sunlight glaring
Yeah.
through,
Oh
you
man.
know, when you see them standing over the koi fish, when you see them jumping into the river. Miles said this yesterday with me at the same time.
The
Like, look
water.
at the water animation.
Yep.
It's
It looks
it's
just as
incredible.
good as the Garden of Words at times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
I would honestly agree with that, dude.
it's
Like,
probably the best art and animation I've ever seen, like, ever, probably, to be completely honest with you. Like, all together throughout the entire thing.
it's seriously on Garden Awards level and Your
Yeah,
Name's
it
level,
really
like
is.
with the
It was
animation
so
and the art, like
consistent.
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's a
like
very good point.
it
Yeah.
beautiful. Like I couldn't like the whole thing with the X's, they nailed that.
Oh, that
Um,
looked so good.
yeah, just like when when especially how they incorporated the music with it and some of like the striking like whether it was like it was kind of like a color correction kind of like where they would kind of like in an important scene like they'd kind of you'd know it was an important scene like with the music and just kind of with the way they presented it and whatnot like they definitely nailed it in certain scenes but just from beginning to end like there were like no inconsistencies like honestly with the animation and art at all like I didn't notice anything it was just honestly gorgeous from beginning to end. Uh, Everything, just even like the hand signals with the sign language, the
Oh, very fluid. Yeah. Like in terms of
yeah,
animation, like
like
how they move their
yeah,
hands was that's. And people might not realize, but how that's important that is to a scene because if someone is trying to convey something, it's sign language. Obviously, it has to be very on point. And the way they did in the animation actually is just like wow, that's exactly how someone would move around with their hands, not too fast, not too slow. It's like damn, they really pulled out all stops with this fucking movie. It's crazy.
yeah. It's crazy to like I can't even probably like just how much time and how much effort you could tell was like put into this. Like it's literally like you're just watching the manga. Like obviously they left some things out, but for the most part it's a really well done adaptation. But like it's literally like you're watching the manga just in color and like with music. Because like the
Yeah.
character designs literally like they just took them out of the manga and put them into here. Uh they really did a phenomenal job with it. And like all the credit should go to like the animators, the staff, everyone who worked on this because they did literally an incredible job with it like all around. And I mean, I knew we'd all have the same kind of I think everyone cannot deny that this is probably one of the most beautiful works of art like we've honestly ever gotten anime, to
Oh,
be
definitely,
honest,
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to
it's
this
one of
point.
KyoAni's best works.
Yeah.
Dude,
Definitely one of
I
the
know some people who are big, KyoAni fans. I know. Like I'm kind of a KyoAni noob. I haven't really watched that much from them. But I know people who are like diehard KyoAni fans say this is like literally their best work like ever.
yeah.
It
Number one
And
really
though
is.
is Musaga no Phantom World though.
shut up. Stop, yo.
yeah.
Now that, like Aaron
At
said,
that
is
point
what they
we'll end the
shouldn't
podcast.
really.
Exactly.
I'm
You're
closing the channel out, guys, so this will be our last podcast.
No, like the
Check you
animation
later.
and the art in Phantom World isn't bad, but just like the show as a whole, just
The show sucks.
it's garbage, man. Let's
yeah.
just be honest.
Like
It's
KyoAni knows how to, make things, come to life like pretty damn well. I'd say like usually they're on point with all that.
They're good at
But
making things
I think
pretty.
they should stick, like Aaron said, this to shows like this. I need to get into more KyoAni shows because like I said, I haven't watched too many. But um,
The
I mean
filter of
this,
this just made
yeah,
it
dude.
godly.
The
And the
color
purple
palettes are
subs.
so, dude. The color palettes are so beautiful,
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
with
and
the
just
aesthetic.
purple
like
subs.
yeah, no, but just like the water, the fireworks scenes, um. Just them on the bridge, I think like Miles said, like literally everything, every place they were at, every scene, to be honest, was done so well. And literally like it's on that, and that's saying a lot because it being on like Your Name or Garden of Words level, like people regard Garden of Words, even Your Name now as like the best animated movie or whatever they've ever seen. And those people I don't think haven't saw this yet.
Yeah, dude.
But like seriously, like this is on that level. Like it's literally that you know awesome in terms of the animation, the art, the music. Like oh my goodness, the
so
music.
forfeiting, man.
Yeah, it's like the music, like in some scenes is like really soothing, but then it also like the one track at the end, like it's so soothing, right? But then when it drops, when all the X's fall off all the people and Shoya's just in the middle of everything, and that like the it just kind of drops, and then it just the tone of the track changes, and you just oh man, that whole thing at the end there was perfect, and what they did with the music and whatnot, and the use of it throughout the movie was great, and some of the the more important scenes and whatnot and the emotional scenes. Like they definitely did a great job with that. And like the scene where Shoko's about to kill herself, you know, Shoya's the music in that, like
The
they knew
music
what
is
they were
done
doing.
by Kensuke Ushio, the same guy as Ping Pong the animation. Fucking
Yep.
awesome.
They knew what they were doing with all that in terms of the animation art, the music department. They knew.
Yeah.
And
That
like,
like
oh man,
opening song
I'm
though,
so
dude.
happy. I'm so happy it got like what it deserved. Because I think like Kyo Annie, like this was the perfect. Because I obviously haven't watched a lot of their stuff, but I know like I've saw, you know, some like the little like AMVs or whatever clips from their works. Like this type of series like fits their style like perfectly,
Right.
and I'm glad that they got on it and that it honestly wasn't someone else because I think someone else, you know, it definitely wouldn't have been like this in terms of its look. And I think a show like this, like I said, like deserves a look like
Madhouse
this.
does it.
Yeah, like no.
Have Madhouse do the whole show.
So yeah,
Dude, imagine that.
general
Oh my god.
consensus on the animation, the art, the music. I'd probably say like 10 out of 10s from all of us.
I
Yeah.
I
also
Oh yeah.
think
I would also say include the voice acting because I think the voice acting
voice
in many
acting
ways
too.
is
Yeah, we can't leave that
it's
Voice
out.
acting was great, especially
Oh yeah.
when the characters like start
exactly.
breaking down and crying and
Yeah,
yelling.
man.
Like, oh my god, that's cringeworthy. Not for like
Right.
bad or whatever, but
No,
it's
no,
just
I
like
get
it's
what you
like
mean, yeah.
gut wrenching. Like you really feel for
Yeah,
those
yeah.
characters, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what's really cool about that though is that you know people will realize everything too. If you have bad voice actors or if you have people that don't fit their things, and I know people might not understand like if you especially are someone that you hear all Japanese voices the same in anime because I know some people are like that, but there are certain times where characters' tones and how they express themselves has to match with a character on screen. And I've watched plenty of works where yeah, maybe it's got decent voice actors, but they don't feel like they fit those characters. And even if you might not fully understand the language without looking at subtitles, you can still hear it in the way they emotion themselves on screen. It's like, damn, every single character in this fit the bill perfectly.
Right.
Everyone when they had to do. I mean, I'll be honest with you, even Shoko's character with her having to like how do
Yeah, yeah.
those things. This is not like
Dude,
Casca level from Berserk where Casca's like, no, that
Right.
this is like someone trying to speak and
dude,
Trying to
saying
make out
words,
words. Yep,
but
if
yep.
they
failing because
do
they can't hear their own tone.
if they do a dub, dude, the voices better be good, and it's literally gonna fuck us if we watch the dub. Imagine like, cause you won't be reading the subtitles, so you kind of like get a more understanding of what she's trying to say. You'll get
Right,
like that feeling that he is when he's sitting in front of her, like trying to figure out what she's saying to
Right.
him. You know,
they're really gonna have
dude,
to get a girl that can do that though, because I mean,
that's yeah,
This might be kind of tough to dub. I don't
dude.
know.
yeah,
If they do though, and they do it good, it could probably be like the best film ever. Like just
yeah. I
period.
mean,
Hey, when the
for
dub
Dude,
comes out,
I was hoping it'd get
that's
a
all I want.
US I was hoping it'd get a US theater release, but I don't know if they I don't know what their plans are if they even plan to do
Girl of
something
the
like
Year.
that.
Can you imagine if Studio Trigger this? The students would have been pissed.
Studio Trigger. Oh no.
Oh my god, it's so true. They'd be like
I mean,
beating the shit
Studio
out of each
Trigger
other.
did a pretty good job with what the fuck is it called?
Kisniver? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Kiznaiver.
Yeah, but Kisniver, like the characters
But I
are
mean,
real
yeah,
assholes with that.
but this is like on a different level, yeah.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
I'm
you
just saying they
can't.
did a pretty good job with that slice of life. But yeah, this is a little bit more serious.
Well, no. What's cool is that they really like Kyo Annie was a good choice. If
Yeah.
the director
They
really chose
fit the
them as
bill.
it, they fit the bill for this because this is what they excel at.
Yeah, yeah, they
Though
do. Yeah.
even in the shows that, like for example, Beyond the Boundary, right? Beyond the Boundary obviously has supernatural elements, action stuff. But when it's just very plain and simple, a school type show, it has a very nice ominous tone to it. Like it feels very good. It looks good, and it's like,
Right.
oh, that's perfectly fine. I mean, the movie for it was also done by Kyoto and it fucking looks incredible. Like Beyond the Boundary, if you watch the movie versus the TV show, you're like, holy shit, where was this during the TV show? Damn. But
Right.
it really was a good setting. Like this is the perfect studio, I think, to do this type of animation and styling and all that based on the themes it's given.
Yeah. I hope the movie kind of blows up a little bit more, hopefully, especially if it gets some sort of American release.
This
It
is
probably should.
KyoAni's actually this is KyoAni's best selling like thing ever. Like I think
Yeah.
for films at least. I don't know about like as a whole, but in terms of like any movie they put out, this is sold the most.
Maybe
So
that'll
I
fucking
mean,
make them wake up and realize that they have to do more movies like this.
like yeah,
Wake me
like
up.
this sold well,
I
but
can't wake up.
compared to like Your Name obviously blew it out of the water. But like why didn't a film like this get more reception? I think
I
it
mean,
definitely was deservingly so. Like
in a sense, I mean, I'm not trying to take away from Your Name and stuff, but Your Name started exploding more once people realized it was going to be airing like all around the world, literally. I feel like A Silent Voice might pick up more traction if they announce releases other places, but I mean, not towards the Your Name level, but still like a decent following if they,
oh, they no, but even like in Japan, like people were going as crazy about a silent voice as Your Name.
yeah, but it still sold really well. It did really
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Oh yeah, it still did good numbers, don't get me wrong.
Because I
Uh
believe A Silent Voice was the first thing to overtake Your Name when it first started, you know?
I don't remember to be honest. But regardless, it still sold well. And I,
Yeah.
I I saw a lot of this, like people like, oh, Your Name is better than a silent voice is better than Your Name. And I was just like, I said this in my
Stop
video. I
comparing
was
the
like
two. They're two
I
different
was like,
movies.
yeah, I was like, why can't we just like
Yeah.
enjoy and kind of respect the great movies we got, and we are getting, because there's so many more movies that I'm looking forward to even this year. Like 2016, 2017, like so many movies that I've watched so far, and so many more to come. Like I still have to watch Blame. I still have to watch the Red Turtle, In This Corner of
Oh,
the
Red Turtle
World.
was
Yeah.
amazing, dude.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
I still have to watch In This Corner of the World, which I've heard is like incredible. Um,
That
like
new
there's
movie,
still
that new movie is going to be coming out. That witch one, the one with the cast that used
yeah,
to
yeah,
be with
yeah, yeah,
Ghibli. I think
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
comes out towards the end of this year as well.
Yeah, like A Silent Voice in Your Name came out 2016. I think Red Turtle came out in 2016 as well.
Hmm.
Red
Obviously, we
Turtle.
didn't get them. We didn't get them till later on, like this year. But like we've been getting these great movies as of late, and that's like it's awesome. So of course, people are still gonna compare them and whatnot. Like, but
Aren't we
like
getting the
here's the thing.
Orange
Like if
movie
you can,
too?
that's been out for a while. I just don't think we've got a sub or anything.
Yeah. No, I mean for the sub and stuff. I think it's
Yeah,
supposed to
I
be out soon.
I hope that'd be cool.
And we got the Digimon Try stuff that just came out a couple days ago, the dub.
Yeah. And what was I saying? Like, I mean, people are, of course, like I said, are gonna compare the two. But here's the thing: when you're saying, like, it's okay to say, oh, I enjoyed this more than Your Name, or I enjoyed this more than A Silent Voice. But when you're going on like Twitter and like bashing people's opinions like that, like a statement like that, saying like, oh, Your Name was shit, A Silent Voice is way better. Like, I think we all know like what way you should kind of go
Yeah,
about it. Like,
we
be
we
still be
already know a
respectful and
silent
whatnot.
voice is better, so you didn't have to do that.
Stop. Like,
No,
no, we all have our opinions. I
well,
personally,
sorry.
I personally would say that I did enjoy A Silent Voice more than Your Name. Now, in probably
Dang.
5 centimeters as well. But is like Shinkai still my favorite director ever?
Yeah, you
You
still
know,
like that
so
Makoto
many of his
Shinkai, dude.
like his like three of his films are like in my top five, probably top 10 animated films like ever.
Right.
But just because A Silent Voice is like, you know, probably my number one right now doesn't mean like, oh, I don't like Shinkai anymore. Like, no,
He was like
like
immediately just stop. Like, dude, that'd be so
like
shallow, man.
Shinkai,
Imagine
you
it.
this like you should have done better than this. Like, no, it's not like that. It's just like I got a great film in a silent voice. The manga, was incredible. The first thing I ever read. I've been waiting for it for so long.
Same.
Finally watched it, and they honestly blew my expectations. Like I knew it was going to
I
be
agree.
awesome. I knew I was going to really enjoy it, but I didn't think it'd blow me away this much. So
Right.
yeah, like let's
Now,
just respect the great anime we've been getting. Like
exactly. No,
respect. That's my
exactly. Keyword respect. I mean, to me, and this is something I've been saying. If you like Your Name more than this movie, okay, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. If you like this movie more than Your Name, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, in many retrospects, why would you even compare the two when they are two different stories completely? I mean, Your Name has more of I mean, I haven't seen it, but I know obviously what's going on in it. It has
yeah,
more of a supernatural element than this.
yeah,
This has
yeah.
no supernatural. This is a very down to earth, this regular drama that's
Right.
based on reality more than else. Your Name's not. And
Yeah.
it might have realistic romances that happen in that movie, but that doesn't mean that they're even comparable. If you look at just the genre alone, and that's why it's like, why the fuck are you gonna waste time arguing that? Because I mean, I've seen people on various sites that are going back and forth, going like, oh, this is done because the budget was this way, and it's so much better, and it's like, who cares?
Right.
Two movies. They're two different movies. I mean, do
All
you
that
do that with
matters is the
everything you watch?
outcome. All that matters is the outcome, and Your Name and A Silent Voice are both fucking amazing. So
Right.
yeah.
All
And
right.
if you
So
like, yeah, I would agree with what Troll said. If you like Your Name, then you'll like A Silent Voice, and vice versa. If you like The Silent Voice, I'd say you'd like Your Name. So it's kind of like, you know, both things there. So if you've watched one, watch the other. If you haven't watched both either of them somehow yet, I don't know.
Then you
Like
fucked
at
up.
least like Aaron's watched
life.
A Silent Voice now, so he's watched one of them. But
Right.
like,
Yeah, then you messed up
uh,
life if you haven't watched either of them.
You
Simple.
gotta go back.
no,
And
but seriously, you should if you haven't watched either of them by this point, I think you really should as an anime fan, to be
And I
honest,
hope
because
you aren't listening to this whole podcast if you haven't watched both of them. Because
no,
well, I
like
mean,
these
if you
two
haven't watched,
movies,
Your
like
Name, it's okay because we didn't spoil anything with Your Name.
yeah,
But yeah, we spoiled
right,
everything essentially with this. So, well, we didn't
like
spoil.
the
Actually, we didn't spoil the ending at least. So you can
yeah,
still
like
go with
like
the
these
ending.
two movies have done like they've accomplished tremendous feats and whatnot, and
Right.
like you know just imagine like how much work and how much effort were put into, especially like A Silent Voice in Your Name. Like the people who worked on them, like getting these awards and selling, like how they feel, like they must feel like all the work they put into it, because they work pretty hard on this. We know that. Just all that work pays off. They see it. Like A Silent Voice won animation, best animated movie or whatever or best animation project of the year or something like that. Shinkai won like best director. I know Your Name also got a lot of other awards. So did A Silent Voice.
Right.
So yeah. Moving on though, we kind of derailed there for a bit, but
No,
it
we're still
was
on track. I mean, I think
yeah, yeah.
I would say,
We
I would say,
and
what?
we kind of added input like from kind of what they left out in
Right.
the manga already. So
Well,
I mean the stuff with
when they talk about like the different characters, faults, like their own personal problems, they didn't really go down into that,
yeah,
because we have like Sahara, who gets made fun of, who
yeah,
dresses like basically like a tomboy. You
yeah.
have Steven Universe,
Uh,
getting bullied for being called fat and shit.
Yeah. You
You
don't really
know,
we have to
see
get some stronger, by the way, because we just lost a lot of people in one shot. And apparently, according to metrics,
Yeah, it's because they thought we were
Yeah.
ending it.
what?
No. No, I mean, like, people say that the stream kept buffering. At least metrics said that. And then we just, like, immediately lost, like, fucking
it's
15 people.
not buffering. We haven't lost any frames, so
That's weird.
We're all good.
Might
just
be on
turn
YouTube
down the
then.
quality if you want.
But yeah, when it comes down to like the characters stuff, I wish they would have dived into that a little bit, given their personality and backstories more especially. I know we talked about that with Mashiba and everything. We talked about like for the other cast of characters, because all these characters are connected,
Yeah.
and actually some of them actually play a role into the overall story. While when it comes to the film, we just kind of see the perspective of Nishimiya and Shoyo, which isn't really a bad thing. It doesn't really deteriorate from the movie at all, but it just would have been something nice to have, especially when it comes down to even the mothers, like I stated before. So
Yeah,
that
yeah,
I
like
wish
you
we didn't
said.
have more.
Yeah, like you said, you get bits on every character in the manga. That's why I would really recommend the manga because you obviously get the full thing. But like they did leave out bits from like what we said, Mashiba. Um, you kind of see why he, in his past he was bullied and whatnot. That's why he gets really pissed at Shoya.
Yeah,
And actually, if I think we talked about this yesterday, if I recall correctly, he actually kind of confronts Shoya about it. I don't remember if he hits him or not, but
yeah, they
I
get
think
into a fight.
yeah, they get into like a little scuffle or something if I remember
Yeah,
correctly. Yeah, they do. Um, the stuff with UNO and Sahara is kind of a big thing, like UNO, like Miles said. Um, Sahara kind of dresses like a tomboy and whatnot. She gets made fun of that. UNO especially kind of, throws shots at her like, why are you dressing like this? Why have you changed so much and all that. That was a big thing. Another thing they kind of left out, Nagatsuka, or what you guys say, Steven Universe. Him and
I
yeah, him and
was like, you said that too, man. Don't think it's
yeah,
like
I
we all
did, I
said
did,
that.
I did. But you guys made it. But but him and Shoya kind of get into a little argument in the film or in the manga, excuse me, and they kind of get distant for a little bit in the manga, if I
yeah.
remember correctly as well. That was another thing. The beginning, the stuff with the teacher, like we mentioned, another big part at the beginning of the film or in the manga. Oh my God! But that should have been in the beginning of the film at the beginning, Shoya tells Shoko that he hates her, and when you see the scene of like you see a scene of Shoya who's actually been beat up and whatnot. His face is all bloody. He has a bloody nose and whatnot, and Shoko is actually the one who comes and cleans him off.
Mm.
So they left that out. The ending, of course, was different.
Oh, the ending! If they, dude, it would have been
Yeah,
so satisfying to see the ending if they how they did it in the manga, dude. I mean, they did it perfectly in the film. Don't get me wrong, but like,
yeah,
especially when it came down to how the group gets together again from all the fights that they had and whatnot when they start to make the film. You know
yeah.
that would have been so cool to see. Like
I would have
seriously, if
loved to
you
see the filmmaking in here, but
yeah,
yeah,
if you at least don't want to read the manga, at least read, that portion, which is like the very end,
yeah,
because that ties everything together and it's so satisfying. So satisfying. At least
yeah.
or at least read the ending to the manga. So,
Like I think like I'm satisfied, but I think like even like if they incorporated the whole filmmaking, what they do with that into the movie, like I would have been even more satisfied, like of course,
yeah, yeah,
taking that straight from the manga, but still the ending was very, very well done. I love how they did it. It's not like I dislike the ending whatsoever. Um,
yeah.
they definitely did a exceptional job with it. So, you know, some things they probably should have had in, but for the most part, you still got, the main story of a silent voice and what it was trying to get across. So,
Yeah, and it didn't really
yeah.
deteriorate, even though they didn't include those.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so
I
for
was gonna
this
ask you
last
guys a
yeah,
question
for this
actually.
last part,
I was gonna ask you. So here's a question of the day though. With in terms of the manga versus the animation, right? Did you feel that? And this is something I think a lot of people that maybe read manga solely or watch anime solely. Did you feel like the manga and is better than the anime? Did you feel like the anime was better than the manga, or did you feel like to a point the stuff they didn't include in the animation? Do you feel like that was actually a detriment to it? Like,
Despite the fact that they didn't include what I wish they, should have included, and I think they could have, with just a little bit more time. Like, still, I think that the film was at least near perfect, and
right.
even the manga, I would say, is even a masterpiece of itself. Just on how a lot of people can relate to it. So, I mean, honestly, I
it's
I
hard
would
to
say
say
both
which
of
one's
them are
better.
great. Both of the
Yes.
what?
I said it's kind of hard to say which one's better.
I would just say that both of them are great. I really put them at a close tie. I can't really say that one is better than the other
I'd
because
probably I'd honestly be the same way, but because it's like they left out a few things here and there from the manga, but like the animation, the art, the music, it coming to life kind of makes up for that a bit. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like
Okay, because I was just saying, because
they weigh each other out a little bit.
no, because I know a lot of people love having that debate, like, oh, because
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
manga adaptation, obviously, but
Go read
you
the
know,
manga, like seriously.
Yeah, but
If you
seriously, yeah,
guys,
still read the
yeah,
manga.
right.
it's
No,
it's
I plan on myself,
relatively
yeah.
it's relatively short. It's like 7 volumes, 64 chapters or something like that. So you could probably read it pretty quickly, and it fleshes out the characters more. You get more, you get a little bit more substance. Uh, with the story and whatnot. So yeah, the question that was asked earlier that we'll probably just leave this off with. What was before we get into ratings and whatnot, but I think that should kind of be obvious now. But but we'll just do it for the sake of the podcast.
Right.
What was your guys' favorite scene in the film?
Oh, you know what? For me, and this, by the way, folks, this is big spoiler, so I'm gonna warn you now. This is the scene where she sees Shoko jumping off the thing, and he runs at her. He like tries, like he falls and collapses for a moment,
Yeah.
but gets right back up. Dude, the amount of tension in that, my heart was like
Yep.
pounding because I'm like, oh no, please don't let her drop off. Please, save her. I'm like, oh shoot, just
There
that
was
whole
even a
sequence of events
Yeah,
was
there was
so
even a scene
powerful.
where Blade's heart was beating so fast that, she was about to cut her hair or something,
Dude, I was upset about that, man.
You're like,
I was like,
no,
no.
no.
It was just
It
her
was like just the
mom.
mom. I'm like, oh, okay, no worries there. All right, cool.
And then we heard,
Dude, I was so devastated by that.
Yeah.
I was scared. Dude, listen,
He's
I
like,
love
no!
yeah,
Go ahead,
Yeah, but
sorry, I just had to
yeah,
say
that
that.
scene was
Nah, that's okay, man.
definitely,
It's
and the
fine.
way that was animated, like especially when he slips and falls, like it was just like they had you like so focused in on what was happening, like the music in the background, like oh, just like the attention they drew to it was like, oh man, like
yeah.
it was definitely a great scene.
Yeah, well, that's my favorite scene though.
Yeah, that's a good one. Christian, what would you say would be yours?
That's probably my favorite. Or when she's out there waiting for him at the hospital, like every single day, that kind
Oh
of
yeah,
like
yeah,
fucked
very
me up.
powerful.
Like she was sitting there like every single day because she couldn't come in.
Yeah,
Right.
That was
Yeah.
gold. Yeah.
because of Yuta.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was
Bitch.
taking care of him, but she wouldn't even let her in. Like what?
Yeah.
Me, bitch. Me, bitch.
Right.
I
Wouldn't even
mean,
let her come see
I
him.
I can slightly see where she's coming from, but it's still fucked up.
Cause
Well, she's angry,
cause
I
Right.
mean, it
and she probably
was
thinks that if
yeah.
that him
It's
seeing
her
her
fault.
yeah, or that him seeing her could be like a bad thing kind of with the state he was in. I don't know. I don't know. She sees things like mostly the wrong way.
She's a
And
twisted
she's a bitch.
sister.
So yeah, Miles, what would be your favorite scene?
Uh, I actually have two in mind, but
Wow.
Wow.
Only one,
I think
dude.
I
Wow,
think
No, I'm
dude,
just
one
kidding.
choice, man.
There's so many awesome scenes.
I mean
Like
the ending was definitely one of my favorite scenes. Definitely
Yeah.
the ending.
Oh,
Um,
very powerful, yeah.
but like a scene that I really enjoyed was the interaction with Shoyo and Nishimiya at the bridge, and when they both fall into the pond and whatnot.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he's trying to give her back, the notebook, but he's like, please don't open it, that sort of
yeah,
thing. From just to see what, how much he harassed her. He doesn't want to reveal that again, to her. He wants to keep that completely, out of the picture.
yeah,
And I just loved, especially when it came down to the animation of that scene with the water. It was
yeah. That was
amazing.
beautiful.
The soundtrack and the animation like all comes together, and it's
Right.
just so fucking awesome. I love it. But I would say that or the ending, because the ending where he finally realizes that he can now carry on his life. He's a changed man. Finally
Right.
redeemed himself from hurting someone with a disability like that. That to me was awesome. So
Yeah. Mine would definitely be the ending scene. Just with the music, the way it was animated and everything, the X's falling off everybody, like that just like and it's like I said before, like it was just to me it was like I hated this guy at the beginning. Like
yeah,
just like his character, how far he came across, how much he like changed from the beginning to the end, like was really remarkable. Just like I talked about that drop in the music, like when the X's fall, you see him in the center of the screen, everyone's around him, and then the drop just happens, and it's just like, oh man, the way they did that was phenomenal. You see like the flashes of all the characters, and then you see like the little tiny like you see like the first character they show, I think, is Yuzuru. They show Yuzuru first, and then it shows like the little tiny like vision, which is Shoko and Shoya, like in that. You guys remember that at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when they show one character, then it flashes to like the little tiny, circle in the middle of the screen. Like it's a black screen, then in the middle you see the little thing with Shoko and Shoya in it. Then it flashes to another character. I think the next one was like Nagatsuka. Then it does the same thing. Like it kept doing that and going back. You see like all the smiles on and the looks on the characters' faces and whatnot. And then you see, Shoya break down and cry and whatnot. And man,
He's
Oh,
just
that
so
that was so powerful,
Godspeed.
man. Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
fact of him just standing there, and then you see, and then that's the subtext that appears on screen. I was like,
right.
oh my god.
Yeah, just the whole way that thing was animated, it wrapped it up so well.
It really
It
did.
wrapped it up, it wrapped it up so well, and it definitely I don't know, it did it so well. That's all I can say pretty much. It gave closure to everything. Felt like you were on just a crazy ride that like just when it ended, it was like one of the best rides you've ever been on. Like.
It's an awesome series.
But the
Definitely
way
something you should
the
check
way
out.
it just messed with my heart, the ending in the whole series, like, oh man, like little series have done kind of what a Silent Voice did, to be honest. So yeah. All right. So final scores, I think
10.
10. So
Uh,
I
5.
think go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
I think
I'm
Miles
totally
gave it
kidding. I'm
you gave it
totally
a
kidding. Calm down.
9.5, or did
A
you change
10.
to a 10? You gave it to a 10.
No, no,
Yeah.
well, like if I'm looking at this at a critical standpoint, I would say like a 9
Oh
out of 10.
gosh.
But
Aww.
for my own personal enjoyment, if I wasn't a fan of like, the manga and all that and noticed the differences, then I would
Right.
say, a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But despite that, I still think it is considered a 10 out of 10, just for a film alone. So,
Right. So yeah, definitely. 10 out of 10 from all of us. And yeah, just a great watch overall. I know I'm going to be buying the Blu-ray whenever it comes out here.
Oh
I
hell
I
yeah.
mean, I wish the Japanese versions had English subtitles on them because I know they're doing that for Your Name, but they're not doing that for Silent Voice, which kind of sucks. But whenever there's an American release here, I hope they have like a limited edition or something because I'll definitely buy that. Uh, but yeah, if you have not watched The Silent Voice yet, we all definitely 100% recommend it. Whenever you have the time, check it out and let us know your thoughts on it. So yeah, you guys have anything else you guys want to say?
Um,
I think so.
amazing fucking movie. That's that's the bottom line. Like if you haven't seen this and you've been listening to this whole time, for some reason, thank you for that. But at the same time, even if you got this spoiled somehow, still watch the movie. It's fucking amazing. It's something to truly bear witness to.
Yeah,
There's not. I don't. I've seen a lot of anime movies, and it's rare that something ever tugs at my heartstring in terms of a movie, especially off adaptations. Because adaptations, like I know Nate wants to see Blame, and I'm like, to go into Blame without any thought process of what the manga is like, because it's not like the manga. But it's terms like that. Adaptations with manga to anime movies usually can be really done very poorly because obviously you're trying to cram a whole bunch of volumes into one fell
right,
swoop of a movie, which is like this case 2 hour movie. I understood all the stuff that got cut out, but at the end of the day, it was still amazing and
right.
definitely one of the best I've seen.
Yeah, I think we'll look
Nice.
back on this like if we're still watching anime, which I'd say probably
Oh,
we will be, but
I will. Shit.
5, 10 years from now, like we'll look back on this and say this is like one of the greatest things I've ever watched. So like this is something like if I have kids, like I'd show them. Like,
Yeah.
on,
I
like, to
hear
be honest, like if that's
This
in
is
my
something I would show anyone, man.
yeah, I know. Like if this is in my future, like if kids are in my future, then this is something I'd show them. Like for real, I'd show anybody this. Uh, so yeah, I hope it gets maybe a U.S. release. Maybe someday it'll get a dub. I'm not sure. I would hope so. At least to kind of spread it more. But if it comes to theaters, of course I'll be going to check it out again. So yeah, I think that's about it, everyone. Like we said, make sure you let us know your thoughts on the film. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. What are you doing? And then
Yeah,
get back
make
to
sure
us.
you tweet at Travis and the anime-inspired pianist and tell them they're traitors and should definitely
you.
Also, be sure to
watch
check
the
out
film.
our reviews. Check out our reviews on Sonic.
Yeah, we all put
Yeah, we
out.
all did reviews or videos related to
Yeah,
them on our channel, so definitely go check out if you want like
yeah,
one of our personal opinions or perspectives on it.
yeah. All the links are down below. The Patreon, the AniRoute website, everything. The iTunes, the Twitter, all that. Uh, so yeah, anything you guys need will be down there. And yeah, that's about it, everyone. Thank you for watching.
Yep, yep.
Peace.
Bye bye.
Titties.